Gruff, have you had time to reflect on Friday night's effort?
Yeah, we trawled through the footage through the night, and then we got together Saturday, and then we sort of shared ideas and thoughts as we go through Sunday. And we obviously send our individual reports through, and then first thing this morning we put it into a package really, which gives the players some clarity and guidance in terms of where we thought the game was lost. And then the art is how we then convert that into our working week with our prep for Leinster.
Where was the game lost?
It was a strange old battle in that it was a game that lacked any real substance, in that obviously there were set piece deficiencies, so we felt we could never build a game in that realm. But you've got to look at the fact we still got to 12-0 in relative control, but there's things we started to do off kilter. We got a little bit desperate at times, trying to force the matters when the opposite was needed, and obviously some discipline issues came in to allow them back onto the scoreboard. And then under pressure we didn't react well in the last quarter.
Gruff, what areas are you looking to improve this week?
Around our kicking game, and also our counter-attack work. Ulster gave us a lot of possession off kicks on the weekend, and we were a little bit rudderless in how we dealt with it. We often kicked back aimlessly, or we carried it back and then weren't in team shape to attack off it, which historically is stuff that we coach an awful lot and tend to get into good positions with when we get back on the front foot via Fuss and Eli. But we had a bit of everything going about us the other nights, again in part because of the fact we weren't getting perhaps set piece possession, so I think the players felt they had to force something around the kick and counter game.
Are you worried about the set piece at the moment or not?
Yeah, we are. Certainly there's been a couple of games now where our numbers haven't been great. Even the Leinster away, we did well to come back and put a couple of tries together second half, but that was a game also where we didn't really have a set piece platform, and the other evening was a massive factor for us. So there's a lot of learning going into the players. The backs have had a relatively short brief longer on the field today. The forwards have had a long brief going through the detail required around the set piece game, and hopefully with a longer week this week in terms of 4 sessions that we can and will put things in place to make a difference come Saturday.
What about Leinster? What sort of state are they in at the moment?
They've had a mixed start, I guess, but they've still got enormous amount of potential. We saw out there when we played a few weeks ago. The first quarter they nigh on blew us away, and we had to really dig in to try and battle back into that game. And they've got that capacity, which we know of them traditionally. Their record in Europe is unrivalled over the last 3 years. So we know they've got that in their armoury with quality players. But I've got to respect the way Munster played them on the weekend. There was a lot of intensity and energy to them, which we've got to adopt on the weekend. We certainly didn't have that in our performance in terms of possession on Friday night. So we need to take up the baton about how we want to play against Leinster.
They could have O'Driscoll back. They could have Takiri playing. Big names there, big threats.
Yeah, and Kirshner maybe. They've got lots of good players in that squad, and that's why they've been a champion side over the last few years. They're well coached, well organised, and O'Connor's no different in the respect they'll have them playing a good attacking brand of rugby. But I think there's a physicality to them as well. People underestimate that they can turn the screw with different set piece options. Take the grunt up front as well with, again, some world class players in that pack. So there's a bit of everything about Leinster, which is one of the reasons why they've been so effective and winning trophies for the last few years.
Gruff, how do you rate the likes of Takiri, O'Driscoll? How do you rate those players?
Yeah, they've been at the pinnacle of the game, I guess, for 10 years or so, and they deserve the utmost respect. And we enjoy our battles with Leinster because we always give them the utmost respect. And I think that we get that in return as well, and we sense that we can have a crack at Leinster and get excited about doing it. It is one of those games. We've probably done 5 of them over the last year and a half where we sense that the players really enjoy these challenges, and especially in Europe now at the Liberty on Saturday night, you'd hope that there'd be a bit of excitement, and I still think confidence about our group to take the game to them.
There's some great duels up front as well. Justin against Sean O'Brien, for instance, in the front row, Cian Healy against Adam.
Yeah, definitely. There's so many, I suppose, little, as you say, mini duels within the context of the game. And I'm sure, it'll come in some of the finer detail we put on some of the information we give to individual players. But a lot of it, certainly today, is about getting our house in order, putting our attacking game in a better position than it was on Friday night. And been smart about how we do things as well, and been confident in our approach to the game. We'll certainly give Leinster the utmost respect in the homework we do on them, but we want to have a boldness about ourselves as well.
Do you expect no reaction from your players, Gruff?
You'd certainly hope so, and historically we've always come back in fighting after we've had those sort of performances. And we've got a squad of winners who don't accept what happened on Friday night, the way we sort of did die a little bit in the last quarter of the game. So in a way, we'd hope that they can galvanise the group. And as coaches, we were sick to the guts really in terms of the way the game just drifted away from us, and we've gnawed on that all weekend, myself, Steve and Chris, and you almost want to get back to work the next day to put things right. And the players are no different. I mean, the guys, Alan Wynne, Dan Bigger, Justin Tipuric, Adam Jones, they all just want to get on the field again and put a performance in, which we left go on the weekend, which is crying shame given the previous 4 weeks.
Gruff, is it overdue? We're sort of 18 years into European competition. Is it overdue that there's a serious Welsh challenge for the trophy this year?
You'd say perhaps in law of average over 18 years, you'd hope so, but all we can do is get our house in order this week, and back ourselves with our working processes. We think we've got the ability to make a mark this weekend, and that's the first sort of notch we've got to try and put together, a 4-point win come the weekend. After that, there's so many twists and variables around this competition. You can't tell in terms of the way the season pans out, because you've got a peak at 3, 4, 5 different periods really almost of the season. So it's a unique challenge, and like I said, this one we've just got to get right this week.
Who's favourites for this group, do you think?
It's the group of death, so and invariably we were going to get involved in a group of death because our last few years haven't been good enough, and so we deserve to be where we are. We can only change that by battling through this group, and we'll certainly do our damnedest to do so, and try and rectify some of the sloppiness from the other night, because without that we won't be in with a shout.
Is it fair to say that actually any one of the 4 could win it?
I think so. I think there's 4 top quality sides there. I've watched a fair bit of Northampton this year, and they've got an impressive physicality about them. Castres, the way they won the French Championship last year was fantastic for them, as a well-coached side with a good tactical spine to it. And ourselves, we think we've still got the ambitious nature about us to try and be at the top end of our game and compete for trophies, and this is the pinnacle.
What's the situation with Ryan Jones?
As you saw, he was semi-involved with the session today. He did a lot of the unit-based stuff, some of the skill-based drills. Didn't do the full run at the end in terms of some of the games play we did. He was pulled away by the physios, but I'd hope for the full training day off him tomorrow, and touch wood, we can get him in the mix for this weekend.
How much of a boost would that be if he were to be fit?
Yeah, well, he's a talisman. He's got that aura, and especially after last weekend, he's got a calmness about him which comes in and does his job the right way, but also affects other people the right way. And perhaps we didn't have that on the pitch at certain times last weekend, which may be unusual for us, but Ryan can certainly add to that mix.
Gruff, do you see it as a chance for a young player like James King to really sort of make a name for himself in this pool and on such a stage?
Yeah, he can do. I think he did last year, mind. I thought he was unbelievable in his performances in Europe. To lose back-to-back, and the Leicester game down the Liberty, his numbers and work rate showed that he can cope with this level easily. So in amongst the other boys we've got competing in the back 5, we feel we've got real competition. Tyler went well on the weekend, Morgan Allen's been going well, and Bierman gave us plenty of energy and some defensive physicality on the weekend.
Given the excitement surrounding this weekend, is it almost unbelievable that there might be nothing of a similar nature next year?
Yeah, definitely. I won't and can't go into the politics at all, but as players and coaches, you've sensed today in just some of our training work that it is a mindset that this has got to go up a notch this weekend. This is a different level, and the boys who played international rugby know that it's a stepping stone to that. And Leinster themselves, have been the champion side for the last 3 years with Amlin, Rabo, and back-to-back Heinekens. They're the templates for us, and there's no better challenge.
The battle between Justin and Sean O'Brien, fascinating open side viewer. How do you sort of contrast them, Gruff? They're different kinds of players.
They are, although I think Tips has got a bit of everything about his game. We know he's got some wondrous ball playing ability. He's good over the ball, and he's the ultimate link man. but I think he can be a physical carrier in the same mould as Sean O'Brien. He and people like Heaslip and whichever the hookers they pick, Healy as well, they get massive go forward from some of those players. And O'Brien has been, to be fair, a key player for Leinster, you know, during their run over the last few years as a go-to man for them. You know, he's been fantastic, and I'd like to see Justin get on the ball a bit more this weekend, you know, and create some problems for the Leinster defence in different ways as well.
How far is Arnold Gertson from being ready to return?
He's running nicely at the moment. He's doing some skill-based work and some kicking work. So we'll be hoping mid to end of November, which again will be a timely boost to give us a bit more competition as well. And as an extra ball carrying back, we all know what he offered us a year and a half ago.
What did you think of the back play last week? Were you sort of happy with it?
No, been through it this morning. I was hugely frustrating because even though we couldn't get a set-piece game going, there was plenty of other opportunities where we got on the ball, but made too many mistakes. We turned the ball over again with some soft kicks, which allowed them to come back at us and find ground in our backfield. Like I said, our counter-attack work wasn't cohesive enough. So then, as back setting the platform for forwards, it wasn't what we expect. Defensively, there was a lot to like. It was our best defensive performance of the year, and our midfield axis was particularly impressive there.
You're up against a really good back division, aren't you, this weekend?
Definitely, and when they get that speed of ball and start moving you around, you do end up chasing shadows. So we've got to be mindful about how we defend, how physical we are around the tackle contest, and how smart we need to be about not jumping on individual players, but just defending as a team.
No, you can't get into the politics of it, but from your own point of view, how worrying is it to coaches and players to hear statements like, well, there might not be regions around next year if things aren't sorted out between the regions and the union? Does that get to you or not?
Not necessarily, no. I think generally within the coaching world, I'm sure if we're in the same situation April, May, we'd start to have some future qualms, wouldn't we? But certainly at the moment, given the competition within the game we've just come on the back of and who we play next, we're living in our own world. It's just about elite performance for Ospreys Rugby, and generally that's what we're about at the moment.
But you do think there'll be regions next year?
I'd certainly hope so. I think you see the national game is in great health in terms of what's been done over the last 10 years, and you compare to the old club game, I think strides have been made by both the union and the regions independently. Just think let's keep working together and let's build on what's good about the game. Cheers, mate.